Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are lucky enough to be here for the November 2019 PracticeMaster Virtual User Group meeting from Attorney Computer Systems, where today we are talking about text macros. Mary Jo is going to take that topic, and find and replace. I'm going to take that topic. And that is that. Mary Jo, are you there?
I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Okay, so we're going to talk about text macros. Go for it.
Yeah, so text macros are basically little shortcuts that you can create to populate any text memo box field that you have in PracticeMaster. So the fee description, the cost description, any journal note, any of those places that you're typing in just an open memo box, we can create these little shortcuts that can expand into bigger text. For example, we could have a code of EST, little / or something to distinguish it's a text macro, and hit our enter or our space bar, and it will expand to estate planning or something like that. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about a text macro. So we're going to go into the fee file, and I'm just going to add a fee here from the dashboard in PracticeMaster just to get into a fee. Well, maybe I will. It's not clicking unless it's going to another box over there. I don't know. Let's see. Let's get it. Let's just open up Michael Larson and get a fee out here for him. Or actually, yeah, Michael Larson is right here. We'll go in there and we'll open him up like we're going to add a fee. And this memo box here is where we can use text macros. So any other memo box, we can't like put it in here in like a regular field, just in the memo boxes. And to see a list of the current text macros that are already available, you can right-click in any of the memo boxes, and it will open up a macro lookup box right here. So you can click on that macro lookup, and this will give you a list of all the current macros that are in place. And some of these may have come out of the box, some we may have created. I find most of the time when they come out of the box, they don't have a punctuation mark after, and I'll tell you a little bit more about why that's important here in a second. But these are all the ones that are currently created, and you can see what their value is. So if we were to type LTR, hit our space bar or our return key, it would put letter 2 into the body of that memo box. You can use these text macros in conjunction with transaction codes and fees and costs. So if you had a transaction code that said phone call with, and you wanted to have CL/be client, you could just put CL/ instead of typing the whole word client out. Smaller words like that, not quite as useful, but you could type big long sentences or paragraphs. You can see there's a big long one in here that somebody has created. I've seen some that are just very long. So it's really however you want to create that description and that text as to what you want the text value to be for that macro. Now, I find that it's important to use some kind of a punctuation. I tend to like the / just because it's right near my pinky finger and it's easy to just put on there when I'm typing a code, because we don't want to have these values over here be something that we would just regularly want to be a word. We would never want to use and or to or of or something like that, OF, or maybe that would be something that you would want to have it be a value, but it could also be an actual word. We put one in here for OH. Maybe you want that to be the abbreviation for Ohio, but in most cases, but the text macro, you want that to say open and handle. So if we put OH /, that would distinguish it from just plain OH, which is the abbreviation for Ohio. So I hope that makes sense for you there a little bit, but having some kind of a punctuation mark there is helpful so that you can determine that, if I just want to type OH space, it's not going to expand to open and handle. But if I type OH / space, it will say open and handle. Good little trigger there to whether or not it's going to turn on and off. So here is the list. So currently, if I go back into my fee entry, for example, and I type in EST / space, it's going to expand that out into Well, maybe it's not. Maybe I turned it
Did
off.
we turn them off?
Let me see if I have it on. I may have. Let me right click. No, it's on. Let me just see if I did that correctly. EST return. It's not expanding. What's
Okay,
going
so
on?
I know a trick. Hold on.
You know a trick.
I'm gonna reveal something new. If you back up and you back all the way up to the beginning, it won't do it. So now if I do EST space, yeah, okay, so maybe.
Oh, it won't do it at the, it's not working.
Yeah.
Well, that is
Let's
odd.
try something.
Well,
here.
let's try
EST.
LTR. No. Did you do LT? Well, EST, maybe I didn't. Yeah, maybe I made it differently. Let's see what I did for EST with a slash. Well, let me pull that up.
Oh, there you go.
There it is. So let me just see if I can just type EST/space. We're broken. What is going on?
We broke it.
Well, we just did it in tabs, and it worked in our previous webinar. It should work for you guys. We probably have something in our test data that who knows what's going on. That's the fun with test data. Yeah, let's try the OH/. Yeah, that one's working. My EST one just may not. I created that one in the last webinar, so maybe I did something in my creation. I don't know. And with test data, maybe it didn't sync over here properly. I don't know, but they will work for you, I promise. So. Yeah, so if you have any that you create, and you can create them here as well. So let's say you want to create them. If we right click and we go back into our macro lookup window and you hit the new button, you can create text macros as well. So this is going to ask you what you want the key to be. What is the shortcut? So if we wanted, I don't know, let's say, MI, and I want that to be with the slash. Okay, I want to put that in front and say OK. And maybe I want that to always spell out the name Michigan, okay, instead of it being the abbreviation. Whoops, and if I can type today. Get out of here. Okay, MICHIGAN. Okay, so there we go. We've got Michigan. I don't want the abbreviation. I always want it to spell it out. So I'm going to save it. So now I've created one. MI// is now Michigan. And so once that's created and saved, we're going to go back to my list view, and I'm going to get out of my text macros, back into my screen, MI/space, and it should spell out Michigan. There we go. So it's working. I don't know. There must be something with my EST. I just created it, so that's probably just a little funny thing with our test data, but we ever go back in business. So that's how you create them, and you can use these. I could have come in here and used a transaction code that had something in here, communicate with, and I could have a CL/, and that would put client. You could put whatever you want, and then that would go ahead and you can continue and use multiples. You can see we've used several of them in this same fee entry. Now let's say you just want to turn them off, and you can turn these off as a user. And it's user by user, so you want to turn them off in all the memo fields. You don't want any of these text macros to be in place. If you right-click in the memo box, you can see this little selection here, Auto Text Expansion, and the check mark is on. If I take that check mark off, then that will not expand anything. Now, if I type MI// and hit space, it does not expand. But if I right-click and I turn it back on, put the check mark in front of auto extension, so I'm just clicking on that line, it will then turn it back on where I can put MI/ and it turns it on. Now, a couple of cautions for you. When you are creating these, when you get into the macro lookup, and if you want to print this list real quick, there is a report that you can run to print the macro list. That way you can have it in front of you, see what's currently out there, see what you want to eliminate, some of the things maybe you don't want to use anymore, you want to create your own. You can get a nice list and go through it and kind of modify and tweak it, and then come back in here and either delete the ones you don't want, change them, however you want to do that. One other thing why we're in here as well is if you want to change this to add the punctuation, maybe the court appearance is fine, but we don't want it to be CA in case we wanted that to be the abbreviation for California. We want it to say CH/. Well, we can't just come in here and modify or rename a macro per se. You'd have to open up that macro and you'd have to edit it. So I'm just going to double click on it there. And whoops, I can't do it from there. I'm sorry. Let me get back in there and get that opened. So what I would do in PracticeMaster to do that is I want to actually get into the text macro tab right here. So I'm highlighted on the California, or CA. I want to make it California now. CA. I'm going to click on the text macro tab, and then I'm going to copy the description for court appearance. I'm just going to, do a quick copy, and you can use your copy up here, Control-C, whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to delete it. And I would temporarily just delete that out of here. It's not going to take it out of anywhere it's currently used. It's just deleting it off my list for a moment. You can see it's gone. Then I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to go ahead and have that one be CA/ this time, and say OK. And when it opens up, I'm going to paste that description back in. So I've just basically removed it, added it back in with the slash, but kept my description, and now I'm going to save it. So I have done that here. So now we've created it, we've changed it, we've done some different things with that here. So this is a good place to look at what you currently have. It's a good place to modify and clean up. Remember, these can be paragraphs long. I've had some clients that would go in and put, preparation of estate planning documents, including living will and power of attorney and, healthcare power of attorney. And you can have this, if you use the same descriptions over and over and over again, and you just want to quickly have a quick shortcut to populate the fee entries with those things, you can do that, or journal entries or whatever. I think in my last webinar we used business as well. You do like the same corporate documents every year, preparation of the different things. You can have a macro in here that has all that information in there that you just type a couple of letters and it populates it for you. So that's how you can work within your list here and how you can modify that. So we talked about how to turn it off and on, and these text macros also go out into Tapestry Connect. So if you're signing into Tapestry Connect, you can still use those text macros out there when you're entering information in memo fields as well. So I think that's everything. Paul?
Okay, I think so. Very good. Thanks, Mary Jo. I am going to change gears, and I'm going to talk about find and replace. Now, anytime that you have a list, like maybe a list of clients or a list of fees or costs or calendar items, you are able to use find and replace. Now, you'll see it over here under, it's right here, take action, find and replace. But you can also get to it the way you would in, let's say Word with a Control F. Or if you right-click and choose action, one of your actions is going to be find and replace, maybe not. It's in here somewhere. There it is. The older I get. And so any of those will get you to the find and replace screen. Now, before I talk about that, I'm going to tell you that find and replace will be able to work on selected records, like that, where I'm hitting control, holding control and clicking on these 4 records. Or I maybe want to do it to all these records in a row. That's shift. I click the first one, then I hold shift and I click the bottom one. Or it can work on the whole list. So maybe you only want to take a certain group of calendar items and change them from Pam to Ron, for instance. So let me go over here to the calendar file, where I happen to be looking at all the calendar items. I've got the whole calendar file open. It's not just for a specific matter, it's the whole thing. And I happen to be looking at just Pam's stuff. And let's say that I want to take the stuff that's in 2015. We'll pretend we're just moving into 2015 and Pam has moved on and we want to assign these calendar items to somebody else. So what I would do is I would highlight the ones that I want to deal with, the ones I want to replace something in, and then I can either right-click and choose Find and Replace, or I can choose it from over here, or I can hit Control-W or Control-F for Find and Replace, whichever works for you. And then I got to tell it a couple things. I'm looking for Pam, that's the name that would appear, and I'm replacing it with Ron. Am I doing the whole list? No. I'm only doing the highlighted records. So you got to make sure you've selected the right thing. Because if you say current list and you only meant highlighted records, you're going to change things that you don't want to change. Do I want to do this in all fields within these records? Not really. Maybe I have Pam is to attend this deposition as the title for one of the items. I wouldn't want to change. Well, I suppose I would in that example, but that's not a good example. I only really want to reassign these. And so therefore, I want to make sure that I'm only changing specific fields, namely that user group field. I want to find the word Pam in the user group field and replace it with Ron. Now, let me back out for just a second and show you what I mean by that. So I want to change Pam. Now, obviously, we got Ron in here already, but well, that's not a problem. I want to change Pam to Ron so that all that are assigned to Pam are going to now be assigned to Ron. And that takes place in this field. So it's just this one field that I want to make that change. So I'm going to go back out here. I'm going to reselect these 2015 records. I'm going to choose Find and Replace. I'm going to say we're changing Pam to Ron. I'm not doing the current list because I only want the ones that are highlighted. I don't want all fields. I want specific fields. And I can clear all these checkboxes. I don't have to uncheck them all manually. I can clear them all and then just check the one that I want. And I'm only replacing the matching text. I'm not replacing the whole field with the word Pam. Because if I did, and this was assigned to Pam and Judy and Bob, I would be replacing that on all of those people's calendars with whatever I was replacing with Ron in this instance. So I don't want to replace the whole field. I only want to replace the matching text. Okay? Now, you have 3 buttons that you can use to set this off. You can find, which is really just going to tell you I found this in 8 records. You can use replace, which is just going to replace in the first record, and that's not really what you want unless you're going to go through one by one. Or you can say replace all. Now again, replace all is only going to replace it in the highlighted records in that specific field where it's already got Pam and we want it to change it to Ron. So I am always a little leery of clicking replace all because I'm like, oh, what if it does more than 8? So I will do a find first, and it will show you that it found it in 8 results, and it will show you where it's going to replace it, and then doing a replace all, we'll go ahead and do it. And that's it. It's done. There are no, those records are no longer on this list because we're still looking at a list of just Pam's calendar items, and she doesn't have any more from 2015 because we just switched them all over to Ron. Now I can use that anywhere. Like I said, I could be in the client file and maybe I want to change, the primary timekeeper from Bob to Sally because Bob, or from Pam to Ron because Pam's leaving. Now you got to make sure that you're pointing to the right records. So you can sometimes use this in conjunction with a filter, which you'd find further down, or you might say, show me all the matters where Pam is the primary timekeeper. And then you'd have a whole list of nothing but matters for Pam's the primary timekeeper, and then you could do this against the whole list. But the point is, anytime you've got a list like this and you're on that list tab, whether it be in the client file, the calendar file, the fee file, all sorts of different things, you have this find and replace option. That's that. Next month, we're going to talk about 2020, not the year, but the version. Version 2020 of Tabs and PracticeMaster and the accounting software as well is out now and shipping not only to new customers, but to people that want to upgrade to 2020. We're going to talk about all the different things that are new in 2020 in PracticeMaster in next month's virtual user group meeting for PracticeMaster. And while we're on the topic of what's coming up next month, let's go out to the website Wouldn't be the same if I didn't take you here and show you how you can get to all this content and how it's laid out. So if you go to attorneycomputersystems.com, notice that last S in the word systems, it's very important, and you either hover over the word videos or you click on the word videos. If you hover, you get to a shorter list. If you click, you get to a more expansive list that gives a little bit more of a description. You'll see the 6 titles that we have. You'll notice that 4 of them are live. In fact, 3 of those live events are virtual user group meetings. You happen to be in one right now. You're in the PracticeMaster virtual user group meeting. We also have bugs or virtual user group meeting for tabs in World Docs. And we also have another live event called our Coffee Pot webinar. These are all live events, so you need to register for them. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we have 2 pre-recorded titles that aren't live events. They're just recorded ad hoc, so to speak. We have our e-bites, which is Mary Jo's video series. She releases 3 e-bites every month, 1 on tabs, 1 on PracticeMaster, 1 on World Docs. These are just short little videos. They take about 2 or 3 minutes to review, where we take something really cool that we know we can explain in 2 or 3 minutes, and we record a video about it, and we call it an e-bite. For those things that are a little longer, a little broader, it'll take a little bit longer to explain, we have the Paul and Mary Jo Show. We record one of these each month, and either I or Mary Jo will take a topic that and spend 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes on it, going into the weeds, as they say, going into the inner depths of all the different intricacies of whatever it is that we happen to be talking about. If you'll click on the more info, you'll find that we have registration for the next event. So here's registration for the December Coffee Pot, and you just need to fill out your first name, last name, email address, and company name, and you're ready to go. We are taking a hiatus, so the December VUG, Virtual User Group Meeting for PracticeMaster, will be the last for a 3-month period. We're taking the first quarter off from producing any content while we restructure things, because we have a few new products, NetDocuments and CosmoLex, and we're restructuring how we create our content and how we do our virtual user group meetings. So we'll be sending out our article every month like we always do, and it'll include links to videos, but there'll be some of our old favorites, some that are pre-recorded that are not happening live. So no live events, no video content being recorded during the first few months of 2020, and then in April we'll come back with some revamped video content. That's it for today. Everybody have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the month, and we will see you in December. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.